Good, everyone love. That wild, unpredictable, and utterly irrational force, more like the wind than a well-reasoned argument. And when a man loves you, truly loves you, let me tell you, it is not the polite, predictable kind of love they write about in sentimental greeting cards. No, it is something far more ancient, more cosmic, more troublesome. Love, when it arrives, does not knock politely at the door. It does not ask for permission, nor does it follow a carefully laid out plan. It sweeps in like an untamed wind, knocking over everything a man thought he knew about himself. Love is not a scheduled event, not a rational choice made after careful deliberation. It does not arrive when it is most convenient, nor does it fit neatly into the life a man has designed for himself. Instead, it comes like a tidal wave, unbidden, unexpected, and utterly beyond his control. There is something deeply unsettling about this. For so much of life, a man believes he is the captain of his own ship, steering toward a destination of his choosing. He makes plans, builds walls, constructs an identity that feels solid and reliable. He has ambitions, goals, and a sense of what is practical. He tells himself that love will come at the right time, in the right way, in a form that makes sense. And yet, when it arrives, it disregards all of this. It does not care about schedules, careers, or preconceived notions. It does not respect boundaries or acknowledge fears. It simply takes hold. At first, he may resist it. He may try to reason with it, to analyze it, to fit it into a framework that aligns with his understanding of the world. But love is not something that can be reasoned with. It is not a puzzle to be solved or a challenge to be conquered. It is not a choice in the way that picking out a suit or choosing a city to live in is a choice. It is something that happens to him, something as natural and uncontrollable as the seasons changing or the waves crashing upon the shore. And so the more he fights it, the more he struggles, the more he tries to hold on to himself as he was before love, the more he feels the pull of something far greater than himself. Because love is not interested in preserving the old self. It does not come gently, allowing a man to stay exactly as he was. It arrives with the intention of undoing him, of breaking him open, of reshaping him into something new. It is not a comfortable process, nor is it always pleasant. But it is real. This is why love often feels like both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it is the most profound and exhilarating experience of a man's life. It fills him with a sense of wonder, as though he has stumbled upon a great secret, a hidden truth about the universe that he had been blind to before. The world looks different, time moves differently. The sound of her laughter becomes the most beautiful music he has ever heard. The smallest moments, her hand brushing against his, the way she looks at him when she thinks he isn't paying attention, carry an unbearable weight. And yet, at the same time, love is terrifying. It asks him to let go of control, to surrender to something he cannot predict or define. It makes him vulnerable in a way he never expected, in a way that no amount of strength, intelligence, or preparation could have shielded him from. It reveals parts of himself he did not know existed, weaknesses he had never acknowledged, desires he had never dared to voice. This is why love is not for the faint-hearted. It is not for those who wish to remain untouched, unmoved, unchanged. It is a force, an inevitability, a current that drags a man into waters deeper than he ever imagined. And once he is in, there is no going back to the shore. The only way forward is through. Love, real love, is not the soft and gentle thing we often imagine it to be. It is not merely a feeling of comfort, nor is it a pleasant addition to an otherwise well-ordered life. It does not allow us to remain untouched, unchanged, or safely hidden behind the masks we have spent years crafting. No, true love is something far more profound, something that does not just fill the empty spaces within us, but instead tears us open, demands that we surrender, and leaves no part of us concealed. There is something deeply unsettling about this. We spend most of our lives creating an image of ourselves, a version of who we are that feels safe, acceptable, and presentable to the world. We learn to show strength, intelligence, and competence while hiding our fears, our weaknesses, and the parts of ourselves we do not fully understand. We construct identities that feel solid, identities that help us navigate the world without feeling too exposed. And then love arrives, and suddenly none of it holds. Love does not care for the carefully built defenses, the walls of logic, or the personas we wear like armor. It slips through the cracks, undoing everything we thought made us who we are. It asks us to be seen, fully and without illusion. It does not allow for half measures. When love is real, it does not let us hide. And that is terrifying. To stand before another person with nothing to shield us, with no guarantees that we will not be hurt, is one of the most difficult things we can do. It is a kind of death. The death of who we were before love demanded more of us. We are no longer in control, no longer able to dictate exactly how we are perceived. Instead, we are exposed, vulnerable, and entirely at the mercy of something larger than ourselves. At first we may resist, we may try to hold on to our independence, our detachment, our sense of who we are outside of love. We may cling to the illusion that we can remain untouched by it, that we can experience love without allowing it to truly reach the depths of us. But love is not interested in leaving us as we are. It is not content with surface-level connections or careful emotional calculations. It wants everything. And so it strips us bare, it brings out our deepest fears, the fear of not being enough, the fear of losing ourselves, the fear of being abandoned or misunderstood. It makes us confront parts of ourselves we had long buried, forcing us to see not only our beauty, but also our fragility. It requires honesty, not just with the one we love, but with ourselves. But here is the paradox. Though love strips us down, it does not leave us empty. Though it undoes us, it does not destroy us. Instead, it transforms. It reshapes us, revealing a version of ourselves that is more real, more whole, more alive than we ever knew we could be. It shows us that we do not need the masks, the defenses, the carefully curated identities. We are loved not because of them, but in spite of them. And in that transformation, we find something extraordinary. We find freedom, the freedom to be seen and accepted, not as we pretend to be, but as we truly are. We find strength in vulnerability, realizing that to be open is not to be weak, but to be fully alive. We find a kind of truth that cannot be understood from the outside, a truth that can only be lived, felt, and surrendered to. This is why love is not safe. This is why love is not easy. But this is also why love, when it is real, is the most powerful thing we will ever know. When a man is truly in love, he does not simply see the person before him. He sees something far greater, something beyond words, something that shakes the very foundation of how he experiences life. Love, in its purest form, does not allow him to look at you as just another person moving through time and space. No, through you, he sees the entire universe. He sees the infinite, the vast mystery of existence, the unbearable beauty and fragility of being alive. This is why love is not just affection, not just attraction, not just companionship. It is something deeper, something existential. It is a force that awakens him to the fact that the world is not as small, predictable, or ordinary as he once thought. Through your presence, your voice, your laughter, the way your eyes hold unspoken thoughts. He sees life in a way he never did before. It is as if he has been walking through the world half asleep and suddenly he is awake. But with this awakening comes both wonder and fear, because to see the universe through someone else, to feel that they are the doorway to something infinite, is both exhilarating and terrifying. Exhilarating, because it is as if he has discovered a hidden secret, as if the world has cracked open and revealed its most beautiful truth. Terrifying, because anything that holds such profound meaning also holds the power to undo him completely. He may not even fully understand it. He may struggle to put it into words. Because how do you explain something that transcends logic? How do you explain why the way a person tilts their head or brushes a strand of hair behind their ear feels like poetry? How do you explain why a simple moment, sitting in silence together watching the rain, sharing a glance across a crowded room, feels more significant than all the great achievements he once thought mattered? Love makes the ordinary sacred. It turns the smallest gestures into something monumental. It magnifies the details, the rhythm of your breathing, the way your fingers trace patterns absent-mindedly, the way your face changes when you're lost in thought. These are no longer just details. They are constellations in the night sky, signs of something far greater than what appears on the surface. But with this profound vision comes a deep, unsettling realization. Love does not grant ownership, nor does it offer certainty. He sees the universe in you, but he does not control it. He is in awe of you, but awe is not the same as possession, and this is where fear creeps in. What if he loses you? What if this vast, beautiful thing slips through his fingers? What if he is not enough? Because when a man truly loves, he does not simply desire you, he reveres you. And with reverence comes a sense of helplessness. He cannot make you stay, cannot force you to feel the same, cannot guarantee that the universe he sees in you will always be his to witness. Love, by its very nature, is fleeting, fragile, uncontrollable. And yet, even with a fear, he would not trade it for anything. Because to love like this, to see the universe in another, is to experience life in its most raw, most beautiful, most meaningful form. It is to stand at the edge of something vast and unknowable and choose to step forward, knowing full well that he may lose himself in the process. This is why love changes a man. It is not just a relationship, not just an emotion, but a fundamental shift in the way he sees everything. Through you, he sees not only what is, but what could be. He sees both the overwhelming beauty and the unbearable impermanence of existence. And though it terrifies him, he cannot look away. Love is not something that can be neatly contained, controlled, or fully understood. It is not logical, nor is it safe. It arrives uninvited, shakes the foundation of everything we thought we knew, and leaves us forever changed. A man in love is not simply choosing another person, he is surrendering to something greater than himself, something that strips away his illusions and demands his deepest, rawest self. He hesitates not because he does not love, but because he loves so deeply that it frightens him. He sees more than just the person before him. He sees the entire universe reflected in their presence. And when he truly gives himself to love, he does not remain the same, nor does the relationship. Love is not about holding on to what was, but about stepping into the unknown and allowing transformation to unfold. It is at its core a force of nature, one that breaks us open not to destroy us, but to reveal the truth of who we are. And though it comes with fear, uncertainty, and vulnerability, it is the only thing that makes life feel truly alive. And so if you wish to understand the love of a man, do not ask, does he say the right words? Does he behave exactly as I expect? Instead ask, does he tremble? Does he hesitate before me, not because he doubts, but because he is in awe? For when a man loves you, truly loves you, let me tell you, it is not a matter of if he will surrender, but when. And the moment he does, both of you will be forever changed.